Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about a very big topic, friendship. And for a long time, I didn't feel qualified to actually speak about this. I felt like I needed to be more confident before making a sit-down video like this about it. So even though I don't feel 100% qualified, I definitely feel like I can give my 2 cents more than I could back then, because I feel like I've thought of this idea since I was like 20 years old. So I wanted to finally speak about what I think about friendship and advice that I would give. I'm now mid-20s, so there's obviously so much more to learn and to grasp about friendship, but this is just what I have learned so far. The first thing about friendship that I think everyone should know, and I think everyone technically factually knows, but kind of doesn't always act out, is that friendship is not actually meant to last. If you do have a long-term friendship, it is honestly a real blessing. Like, that person is in your life for a reason for a long time. Everyone else is honestly just going to come and go or leave forever. Like, it is actually not really normal to have friends who last long periods of time. Now, I'm talking like at least 5 years. It's actually really rare that someone wants to stick by you in the same capacity they always have, like in close to best friends territory. Of course, you might have acquaintances who are kind of in your life for like a decade, but those people who really stick by you and who genuinely know most details about your life, they're the ones who are actually extremely rare. And I think, at least in my primary school culture, we kind of grew up with BFF and BFFL, which means best friend forever and best friend for life. And I think people really do take that to heart sometimes. I would say that most people do kind of learn about the temporary nature of friendship by the time you get to my age, like 25. But some people do actually genuinely still go about life thinking that everyone needs to be their friend forever, and they kind of get freaked out when someone is starting to distance, or when the friendship's just not really working anymore. They try and make everything work. And granted, maybe this is also just an anxious attachment style thing, but I think that even though I am leaning towards anxious attachment, I think I'm like secure anxious style at the moment. Even I could tell from around the age of 19 that I first thought of this, that friendship is just not meant to last forever. And it only lasts forever with a very few selective people, if any. Like, if they do, then you are actually one of the blessed ones, and you shouldn't actually expect it out of people or friendships, because once you get into that territory, it's just a little bit dangerous. Like, you just don't want to start imagining that everyone needs to be in your life forever, because it's just not the case. My second point about friendship is to have people who are reliable, because even though, for example, something like someone running late all the time, or someone saying that they'll do something and then they don't do it, is not necessarily directly offending you, it's still hurting the friendship and still hurting your respect for the person. So I feel like it's very important to actually realize when a friend is not really following through with their words, especially if someone's really flaky. If there's someone who's a little bit manipulative, say they want to meet you somewhere, and then last minute they will change it and kind of just expect you to go with it and like meet you at that new location. Just like little things like that, which seem really harmless, and you're kind of like in your head, oh, this person's just really disorganized, but actually they're untrustworthy. And like, it might seem like a kind of big leap, especially if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I'm sometimes a little bit unreliable. But if you have that chronic unreliability and it's genuinely just like a little bit concerning for your friendships, reevaluate your habits and think about exactly how it actually affects those people who are always on time to meet you, always early to meet you. They stick to the plan that you've made already. Just show the people in your life that you are a reliable person, because that is literally what helps with an actual friendship, relationship, whatever it is, to actually gain that trust. And I have started to actually note down who is unreliable in my life, because I used to try and not take it personally, and I used to think to myself, but if it's just in their personality and they're a little bit more type B, then I shouldn't really be judging. But then it started to really affect my life with certain things that people were being unreliable about. Once that actually began and it actually hit me, I started to think, actually, unreliability is a red flag. It's not just about, oh, I'm gonna wait for them because they're always late. It's like actually a red flag about their personality. So I definitely do believe that, yes, there's always going to be great reasons for being late, but I'm talking about chronically late people who actually don't care that they're late. And I'm not just talking about lateness either. There's so many things that could happen under the category of unreliability. And so I really do think that unreliability just shows that lack of respect, that lack of care for the other person. That is just something that I no longer tolerate in my close friendships. Another type of friend to look out for is someone who basically cannot hold down a long-term friendship. When I was younger and obviously more naive, I kind of thought I will just wait until someone does something to me and then I'll stop being friends with them. Reputation didn't really matter to me, even though ironically, I judged my own reputation so much. I basically encountered someone who unfortunately could not hold down a friend, and basically to this day, I don't even know of any long-term friends this person has. And they were extremely anxious and avoidant attached. And obviously that's the worst kind because you have both types. A few months into being super bestie with this person, I noticed the way that they were speaking about other people that they were friends with before me. And they would actually start to convince themselves that all of the flaws in the other person, all of the slight minor changes in the way they acted around them were red flags, and that they were signs that my friend should just distance themselves immediately. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I feel like one day this will happen to me and Bill, because my husband was also close with them. I just didn't really think about it because I was sort of like, I'll worry about it when it comes up. And unfortunately, this person ended up basically flirting with my then boyfriend, now husband, and also tried to turn my husband against me behind my back, and basically just was judging me throughout the whole friendship and actually being pretty rude to me. And I kind of just let it slip by because I liked the friendship. And now that I look back, it's just kind of crazy what I put up with, especially because our friendship ended with basically zero closure at all. I actually got my closure later on when I heard about what she had done to try and turn my husband against me. I look back, I should have just listened to the red flags and the reputation, which was that this girl just cannot hold down a friend, and I just shouldn't have pursued the friendship, but I did. And another red flag that I found in this friendship with this person, became so close so quickly, it was almost like having a toxic boyfriend, but obviously platonic. And it turns out that the same red flags apply to a relationship moving too fast as they do to a friendship moving too fast. Because I kind of started to think, oh my gosh, I'm actually getting so close, so bestie with this person. That is crazy. And I kind of just thought that it was a friendship that would last a few years at least. And even if we weren't always at that best friend capacity, at least we would still be good friends and still respect each other. But no, unfortunately, it ended up going downhill. I do genuinely believe that the next time I can clock that someone doesn't really have solid friends, I will probably keep my distance because it's just not worth it in the end. As I'm getting older, something that has become increasingly important to me in a friendship is support and just enthusiasm for the good things happening in my life. Because there are jealous people out there, which is something that I've only really learnt recently, only because I haven't really struggled with jealousy a whole lot in my life. Of course, I have felt jealous. I'm not saying that I am like immune to jealousy, but I don't think I'm like the most jealous person in the world. And so I kind of went around life thinking that people must not be jealous of me, also because my ego is actually like not big to the point where I would think to myself that people are jealous of me. I realized, because the more you go through life, the more achievements you obviously have, that it is possible for friends to basically just not be that supportive. Like, for example, very small one, because it's not like I'm trying to be an influencer, but when I post my content, even if it is for fun, most of my friends actually don't like them. And I do notice something like that, because I do appreciate the support when it does come, and when friends do comment and when they do like. And even though the actual likes and comments are not a huge deal to me, because it's not like it's an actual source of income for me, I would still appreciate some enthusiasm for what I'm posting and what I'm doing or what I'm sharing with my life. Instead, it always feels like people just kind of mention it to me in real life later, like, oh my gosh, I love those videos you posted. And I'm like, but you literally did not like or comment, and I know you in real life. And I'm not saying that every single friend I have should just go and comment at least once on every single video I post. Obviously, that's overkill, and that is like way too high of an expectation. But you do notice that a lot of people aren't really willing to actually show their support for you publicly. They might actually genuinely like your reel and then not actually press that like button because they just kind of don't want to show that they are enjoying the content to your mutuals. I don't know. It's just this weird self-conscious self-esteem thing. And I know that there's a bit of a like epidemic where apparently uncool to like things now and to interact and engage with posts. But that's just a small example for social media. So other cases would be, for example, I bought a house and a bunch of people didn't want to come because I said it was too far, but they couldn't even come once. I just wanted people to come at least once, and then we can go back to us traveling to them or meeting in the middle. That is all good with me. I don't mind travel. And so in cases like that, it was like, I'm kind of clocking that maybe you're a little bit envious, because why would you not come at least once to see your own friend's brand new house? Like, that is pretty cool in my opinion. Just like how I would see my friend's newborn, celebrate my friend's birthday. It's just be happy for the little celebrations in people's lives. And unfortunately, I have had to actually make more of an effort to actually clock the people who aren't really willing to actually show their support. One of the nicest things that someone said to me when they came over to see the house was literally, "I am so happy for you guys." And just that simple line, simple compliment was so sweet from someone who I'm actually not even that close to. And the fact that that person said that when they visited was just like so heartwarming, because she was literally just happy for us and she was happy to be there and be invited. And that is the kind of friendship that I think should be ones that we look for, because even if you're not super tight with someone, you don't really have deep conversations with them, you kind of see them a few times a year, they can still be supportive. They can still be cheering you on from the sidelines. And a lot of people actually don't know how to do that, or they just don't want to do that for you. And that is the unfortunate reality. And so even though I try my best to be super happy and excited for people's achievements, they're not always going to be excited for yours. And so you have to kind of start to clock who those people are, because reciprocation is so important, which leads into my final point, which I know kind of relates to parts of this video, but make sure you have friends who are reciprocating, because if they're not, then it's just not worth pursuing the friendship. Make sure you have friends who are reaching out to you, asking how you are, saying that you can come over to their place, saying they want to go over to yours, saying they just want to meet in public if that's the most suitable thing. Just checking up on you, especially if something really bad has happened, like say a family member has passed away, they should be checking up. If something really good has happened, they should be also checking up. And of course, you don't always have the emotional capacity for every single person in your life, but as soon as I'm reminded of someone like, oh my gosh, I haven't spoken to that friend in a while, and she was also the last person to say something, like it's my turn to reply, I do it. And so it means that I'm not talking to all of my friends 24/7 every single day, but I'm definitely thinking of them and then shooting them a message, because that is just how I show my care for my friends when I can't see them in real life. Showing them that they're still in the back of my mind, they still pop into my head when I am doing my daily housework, that I do love and support them. Even if I can't see them for a few months, even if they're going through a super busy time or I am, and we just can't see each other and align our schedules yet, I'm still showing through the power of the internet, which has been placed in our laps, that I can still communicate with them. My very last point is about how to actually be a friend. There is no rule book in life, unfortunately, on this earth that actually teaches you how to be a good friend. In fact, the first book that kind of pops into my head that is a self-help book on like people is actually the book that is titled How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think that's what it's called. I've never read it, but it's kind of sad that like the first book that pops into my head that could be a kind of guideline for friendship is one that is more to do with like networking and corporate, making sure that you have an impact on people. And like, that's kind of just, you know, corporate self-love speak. I'm talking about real, genuine friendship where you are both there to support each other through life and whatever happens through both your lives. The only guidebook that I can think of is honestly Bible verses. I think that there are great points about friendship in the Bible, which you might not know. And so I'm actually going to read some out right now in case they do help you. Proverbs 7:17, a friend loves at all times and a brother is born for adversity. A true friend should always be loving towards you. They should never be basically a hater. They were put into your lives for your hard times. They were literally placed in your life by God so that they could guide you through your hard times. So make sure that you are that person for someone. Proverbs 18:24, there's a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So there's always going to be somewhere out there who literally might not come from your birth family. They might not be a sibling, but they are actually so trustworthy and so there for you. Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. So this is about friendships helping you grow as a person and a friend being like hey, I think you could change and improve in this way, and you being like, oh, cool, well, this is my advice on this, and just really helping each other get through life, basically. Proverbs 27:6, wounds from a friend can be trusted. So someone who might hurt you because they are saying something offensive or they're critiquing you in some way can actually be really helpful, and you can actually trust that true friend that they are doing it out of love and care for you and wanting you to improve as a person. I want to call back to Jesus, and that is from John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And obviously for us as humans, it means that if we need to sacrifice ourselves for our friends, if we were in that kind of life death situation, a true friend really would, even though it'd be hard. And Jesus has done that for us on the cross by saving us from our sins. There's also a few points that are more guidings and warnings. So Proverbs 13:20, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. So basically, be with trustworthy people, be with decent people. Don't just hang around people because they're partying, taking drugs, aimless with the direction of their lives. Like, make sure you're with people who are going to help you as well. As you can see, most of those verses were literally from Proverbs. So if you are interested in reading a Bible book that mentions friendship a lot, then read Proverbs. It is a really good one of my favorite books, in fact, because it's so applicable to life on earth. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I just wanted to basically spill kind of what I can think of at the moment about the topic of friendship, and I'm sure as the years go on, I will learn even more and more about friendship. So all the best with all of your friends. I think what's important and what we can control is how good of a friend we are, and also who we allow into our lives, and making sure that there are no red flags in our lives. So I will see you guys in my next video.